Can be hard when you grow up. People fill you with doubt. You start thinking about what you're gonna do now. And it's do or die, gotta make it count. So lose your worries, let your problems go on until my whole body burns out. I ain't never gonna slow down. I ain't never gonna slow down.
Welcome everyone, this is Coaching in Session. My name is Michael Rearden and I will be your mindset coach today. And today we're going to be talking about social media. Now, this is not going to be a blog episode or a Monday episode. This is going to be a guest episode because I'm going to be bringing on a social media coach and she's going to be helping us understand all of the nuances of social media. Because when we look at social media, right, we can see the bad, right? Initially, especially like as a coach, I say social media is a platform for you to go waste time. However, social media does not have to be that. Social media can be a user experience that helps lift you, create the momentum, motivation maybe, that is going to give you the essential fuel or mindset, whatever you want to consider it, to change your current circumstance. Now, this might be a bit confusing, right? Like, what does that mean? Well, this just means if you want to change, you have to change what you know, right? You have to change who you are, essentially. So if you don't know something, you learn something. There's an aspect to learning, and it's called immersion. We have a blog on it. We have a podcast on it, The Power of Immersion, where if you immerse yourself in something around people, you learn so much more quickly and it's more thorough. Versus if I go to Google and I just say, well, what's the latest trend? What are the hashtags to use, right? Everyone is doing this. In the sea of social media, we have to be different. We have to be unique. We have to be authentic. And today we're going to be going on a journey to learn how to be our true, authentic self. We are going to understand and get closer to the reasons why we do the things we do on social media, whether it be the good, the bad, or the ugly. We are going to be figuring out what you need to do in order to help your business grow, to help your social media accounts prosper, and to surround yourself with people who are going to help uplift you into a better mentality and hopefully a better life. So let's get into that interview with my guest, Kaylee Johnson. Welcome, Kaylee Johnson, to Coaching in Session. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on.
Of course, today I have you on as a social media coach. And I love talking to social media coaches because social media can be good, it can be bad, and it can be in between, as we just said a little bit before we got on the recording. But I want to talk about your work. I want to talk about why you got into social media and how you help people. So in your own words, tell the world who you are, what you do, and how you help.
Yes. So I'm Kaylee Johnson. I am the owner of a company called Digital Journey, where we help small businesses and entrepreneurs grow their social media in 60 days. So my strategy and my life with social media was unique. I grew up with stricter parents, so I wasn't allowed to get social media until I was 13. And even then it was very limited. But I grew up in Europe, and so having social media to connect with family and friends in America was really exciting. So I was on Facebook and Instagram and loved all of that. Then when I was around 15, I started looking at my friends and noticing that they were depressed and anxious. And I'd heard a lot of people say, oh, it's because of social media. It's because of social media. And I was like, oh, maybe that is why. So I took a step back from social media and I was like, maybe it's a bad thing. Maybe I shouldn't be on it. And so I stayed off of it for a little while and just kind of thought of it more as something that was negative. And then one day when I was about 18, I was thinking and I was like, I don't need to let social media be negative. It doesn't have to be. Pretty much everything that's good can be used for bad. But I decided I want to use social media to show authenticity and to show people that you can be yourself and you can encourage others in social media. It doesn't have to be about boosting up yourself, but instead it can be about teaching others and building true, real connections with other people. So from that point, I started some different social media sites. I started one for my service dog, raising awareness for service dogs and all that comes along with that. And just some other things going on with there. I worked with some social media companies for a while. And then I decided I want to bring this to the business world because I feel like businesses can be so pushy on social media, and it can all be about buy my product, you know, and social media wasn't created for that. It was created to have a connection with people. And so I decided I want to help others be able to have that connection with clients and show that they care for people individually. And it is a great tool for sharing awareness about your brand or telling your story, but it needs to be done correctly. And that's what I decided I wanted to help small businesses and entrepreneurs be able to do.
Love it. And yeah, building the value is so important. And I wanted to touch base on the strict parents, right? We love them. I love
Yes.
strict parents because it's
Yes.
like we are self-destructive, especially like when we're teenagers. It's just like we are in
Absolutely.
our emotions, we're in our peer group, and we just want to be like everyone else. But yet our parents can see the good, bad, and ugly all in between of things that we might not see because they just have real world experience and we are learning for our first time about the real world. And social media, as you said, it can be a bit stressful for someone who's always looking for those likes and always looking to stay up with the latest trends. As a teenager, especially, I can see that being prevalent. But then we get into the whole business aspect where, we look at social media as being a tool to get clients. And that is a component to that. But yet people are being very pushy, as you can say. It's like, look at me and look at this. It's going to
Right.
change your life.
Exactly.
I like to think of social media as the new infomercials, where the infomercials would basically say, "Oh, you get this, it's going to change your life," and then now there's all these miracles on social media, and and now we're endlessly scrolling to find some more meaning in our life, where we can say, "Oh, this is going to change my life. This is going to make everything better." How do you help your clients differentiate between the masses of those infomercials, as I was saying?
Yeah. So one thing Digital Journey really strives to show is how to be authentic. We want to focus on valuing your clients and your customers because I think it's not good to sell something to someone when they don't need it. We've had people who have come and talked about being in my program, and I've said, I don't think you're going to get as much out of my program as you should. I think this one will be better for you. So, one thing we talk to businesses a lot about is write real. Don't just, one thing we focus on is don't just use AI because AI is kind of bringing that more infomercial thing. It sounds strict, it sounds forced. Even though AI is developing, subconsciously humans can still tell if there's a difference between AI, even if they don't realize it consciously, because it lacks that emotional touch. So I really focus on doing the work to put into social media. We teach how to do it quickly so you don't spend a whole lot of time in it. Because unless you're a content creator, you're not wanting to spend 3-4 hours every day working on social media. But you need to be able to put the time in to make people see that, oh my goodness, this company cares about me as a person, not just because they want my money. And that's what's going to make your brand reputable and trustworthy, is by creating that true connection, which is what we work on showing how to create content for.
Yeah, being your authentic self. And as you said, AI just does it a little bit weird. I know for me, when it comes to social media, it's just a huge time sink. And so that's why I always love to outsource that. And I just delegate that work to a team or to a company. Typically, as long as it's along the lines of what we have for the brand and how we want to market the brand, I'm all for whatever, the personality of the individual does. But yet, when it comes to being authentic, people have different personalities. Think of it like how you might have like a best friend who's into rocks, like into gems and stuff, and they just love those gems and they're very like into the, space. It's like, oh, this is so wonderful. And they got dream
Right.
catchers all over the living room. And then you have like a friend who's just like super hard into rock and roll, right? They just like listen to heavy metal when they're driving. And even though they're both the sweetest people in the world, they have a different persona to them. So when you look at them, you might say, oh, wow, this person's like a hippie. And well, this person's like a rocker with a bunch of tattoos and stuff like that, right? And piercings. We can have that. But then when we have a manager come in or, like a social media coach come in, how can you retain that authenticity but for that person and not implement your bit of truth?
Yes, that's so important. And that's one of the reasons why I have this set up as a coaching program and not as a do it for you program. Because we want it to be that it is your voice. And one thing we go through at the beginning of the course is sitting down and figuring out, what is your goal for using social media? What's your brand tone? What kind of voice do you want? Because some people need a more authoritative professional voice. Some people, like nonprofits, are going to need to be able to be sympathetic but prevent information. Then you have some people like entrepreneurs who are promoting maybe a clothing brand, and you can be more fun with that. So we sit down and we go through and say, what type of brand voice do you need? What are your goals in doing this? Who are your target audience? And get all of that done first, so that when you go to create content, you already have all that to reference back to. Okay, how would my brand say this? Because when we teach small businesses and entrepreneurs, normally it's someone inside their company doing it. And we want it to be that if that person moves on, a person who comes in has all that information to make that consistent. And you really have to look at it and say, how much am I going to put out on social media? How often do I want to post? And really just creating a good structure for that, which sounds overwhelming, but there's some simple tools on how to do that to where it doesn't take much time. But it's being able to set up those structures and those areas of how can I be myself? Because I don't want to come in and coach someone and them take on me, because then they're not going to create good content. They're really not, because they're going to be trying to do something contrary to what they think. I want to be able to say, all right, you think this way, your brand's going this way. Let's utilize those strengths to make your social media grow.
In the world full of trends and the world full of copycats, people see what's working sometimes and they say, oh, I kind of like this. And they kind of go down that path, but then they don't necessarily know what is something they want. And it's a question that even, just like in mindset coaching, we ask the question, like, what do you want? Like, what do you want the end goal to be?
Yes.
And sometimes they don't even know that. That can be maybe the most difficult thing, because when they build a business or if they have a brand, they might have an idea, a direction. How do you help them pinpoint exactly what they're trying to say? Because it could be very open and airy, meaning, like, as an example, let's use a clothing brand. Yeah, I have a clothing brand and I want it to be like earthy and support the world and environment, but that's it. So, like, how would we take that little bit of information, embellish it so we can make it pop and vivid for the audience to say, whoa, I can't believe this product is there?
Right. No, that's a great question. I think one thing that you just touched on is the audience. You have to realize, who am I trying to reach with this product? Because if you're trying to reach every age group for that clothing company, you're not going to do a good job of promoting it and selling it, because different age groups value different things. They're on different platforms. And so we sit down and figure out, who is my target audience? Figure that out first. And that right there is going to show you how you can shape the way you sell it, the way you promote it, because you're wanting to reach a certain person. We also focus a lot on objectives. So we use a system called SMART objectives. So specific, measurable, attainable, rich, and trustworthy. And so we go through and we're able to set up a system of, this is the goal I want to accomplish because it's reasonable because of this. This is how we're going to measure that goal has reached it. And this is how we're going to be transparent in that. So we go through all of those levels so that you have hard goals down. And by processing through and thinking, why is this my objective? Why do I want to grow my social media following by 20%? It really can narrow it down of, am I wanting to increase my brand awareness by using social media? Am I wanting to increase my sales? Am I wanting to increase collaborations with other people? And so it's really breaking it down into the simple basics of, what's my goal? How am I going to achieve it? Is it attainable? And during this whole process, we walk it through step by step with you. We aren't like, all right, this is what you need to figure it out. Because that's overwhelming. And the whole point of Digital Journey is that we want to give you your time back so that you don't have to be stressed out about this and you have knowledge on how to do it. And so we go through it step by step with you and say, let's break it down what your goals are. And then by going from the goals, that right there is going to be how you can figure out your strategic strategy behind it all, is by breaking it all down to the bare minimum and to the basics, which might seem easy looking at it from the top, but like you said, it can be something that's really difficult. And so we spend time, let's get this pinpointed down. So when we try to create content, we're not like, oh my goodness, I don't even know why I'm doing this. What angle should I take? Because you already know why you're doing social media.
When we look at the different social medias though now, right? We have our Instagrams, our Facebooks, our Twitters, or formerly known Twitter and it's X now. There's different personalities that gravitate toward these, I guess you can say, social media sites. When we're a brand, typically we would like to be consistent in what we say, but sometimes our audience is going to be different because even if we're dealing with an age group of 25 to 35, where we are promoting that information can be different, or is it
Yes,
different? Because how I post on Instagram might be different than how I post on, X.
it
Do you
should be.
find that
Yes.
to be the case?
Yes, absolutely. And because the social media platforms are so different depending on what your target audience is, it can seem really overwhelming. And so, one thing we go through is we create a basic copy of what we're trying to go through. From that point on, once you have the copy, the message, it's based on the way you format it. So, maybe with Instagram, you use more reels and videos. Whereas with X, it's more text and it's how would you use hashtags? How would you use emojis? How would you structure it? What's your call to action going to be? So it's definitely different depending on which platform. And one thing we recommend is don't be on every platform. Some people, when they think about social media, okay, I need to be on TikTok, Instagram, X, Facebook. And I'm like, hold up now. No, 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 no. I'm not even on every platform and I'm a social media creator. Like, no, pick which one you want to do and then create your base copy and then use those tools we give you to tailor it to each specific platform. Because if you sit down and think, I need to write a completely different post for every platform, number one, that's using so much of your time. Number two, it's not being efficient because you can use one type. For most content, you can use one set of ideas, one set of formatting, and then change it to fit each individual platform. Because, like you said, they are so different, and the target audiences that are on each platform are so different.
No, that's true. But then we get into the idea of audience preference because, for example, maybe we have different mindsets when it comes to our brand, where we want to have, let's say, an alter ego, or like your Bruce Wayne and Batman, right? So it's like an alter ego where it's like we want to be that knight that fights crime, but then we also want to be that billionaire during the day that is trying to make a difference in the city. So we have the goal of a better city, but yet how we do it is different. So what I have seen, and I definitely agree with you, how we should focus on one platform. Some of the coaches that I speak with, they like, I'm only on Instagram, things along those lines. Sometimes like they have people who will listen to the podcast, but they only have Facebook because certain people they gravitate towards social media. So like you could be listening to this and you can be, I'm only a Facebook user. I don't like Instagram. Some guys like Instagram because they can like a bunch of pictures of girls and stuff like that. But then some guys are like, I don't want to be there because I spent all day liking pictures of girls, so
Right.
they delete it. And
Yes.
Facebook works better, or X works better for them. So everyone has a preference. Do you think it's going to be a burden or a crutch for certain businesses only to focus on one when the audience or people in general are just going to have the preference to a specific social media website?
That's a good question. I don't recommend that one business ever just be on one social media platform because that does limit it. I think it depends on your bandwidth and where you are in your company, but I normally recommend 2 to 3 platforms. Again, if it's a bigger company, maybe you have room to go a little more, but if you're just starting off, 2 might be what you need. But yes, different demographics are on different sites, but it's a lot more basic than people think. And having a 25-year-old not be on Instagram would be a lot more rare than you would think. And so one of the things we go through in our program is going really deep into what kind of person is on each platform so that you can figure out what platform you need to be on. And it really is more basic than people think. And maybe you try it out and you say, yes, Facebook is what I want. Facebook is what I'm going for. And you realize maybe you're trying to reach 30-year-olds and you realize I'm only reaching 75-year-old women. At that point, you need to rethink your content and what am I posting? because by even changing the type of posting you're doing or the type of tone you have or the structure of your posts, that can help reach a different audience. It is more simple than people think about what platforms you should be on and shouldn't be on.
And I agree. The younger generation probably are all on Instagram. I know there's other ones up and coming. I think it's called Reel. I think it's called
Yes.
like Be Real or something.
Yep. Be real.
Yeah. So again, there's always new websites coming out, new social medias. I'm sure Be Real will be bought out by Instagram or something, as they grow. But say la vie, right? Because Instagram was an independent company until Meta bought them.
Right.
And this is the flow of social media. So we do separate it now because if we look at, let's say 16 to 26 around there are going to maybe gravitate more to the Instagram. And then you have the dinosaurs of the group. And I'm talking about myself because I'm 35. So you have like 35 to, 45 or 55 around there are going to be on Facebook because that's the website that they learned initially.
Exactly.
And so
Yes.
they're there and they're like, I don't have time. And like, it's just more confusing to go to Instagram. Like, what's the point? Number one. And then number two, it's just like, I don't like, this is too much for me. So it's an overload. And then you have, people who enjoy Elon and they're like, oh, I love Elon. I love Tesla. I might as well get X also. So then they're on there and they can find like-minded groups and organizations that they can be a part of. So that could work too, where you can have a community, Facebook and X if you're 35 plus, and then you can find like-minded individuals if you're 16 to 26, and you decide to be on Instagram and X. So there is that variety that you can have, and you can find people that are going to resonate with you, people who will support you, especially if we're going to be trying to build a brand, if we're trying to be, or if we're going to be selling something. So we do have to be methodology, or like, what's the word?
Methodical.
Methodological? Yeah, methodical. Can't speak today, but that is why I have you here, Kaylee, to help me understand what is going on with social media. I want to get into the bad now because social media, as we were talking about just briefly, it could be good to build a brand, but can it also destroy a brand?
100%. Yes. I definitely think if you come in as a brand coming in, my only objective is to sell to as many people as I want, as I can. That right there is going to ruin your reputation because people are going to buy products that they don't need. And they're going to be like, this product didn't work. And maybe it would work for other people, but the product wasn't intended for you. So I think if you come on to social media with the wrong intent, then it can be wrong. I think every business can use social media. I'm a strong believer in that every business should have a social media account of some kind because social media is the new business card. That's where people go to look if they're wanting to find out about a business. But in order to do that, you need to be, why am I going on here? What's my reasoning behind this? If it's because you want to bring awareness to your brand, that's amazing. Social media is so good for that. If you want to sell your product, that's good too. Instagram's big time expanding right now. There are stores and everything on that platform. So selling's good too. But it really, you have to come in there with the humbleness in order to say, I'm willing to make mistakes on here. My brand is not going to be perfect. And I'm coming in here to grow my brand with my customers. I'm not coming in here to cut down other businesses that are similar to me. I'm not coming on here to trash talk other businesses or other people because that right there, no one wants to see that. I mean, it might be comical for a little bit, but that's not going to make us want to go buy a brand. I think every business needs a social media of some type, but you have to think, why am I doing this? And make sure you're in the right mindset of why.
Is social media the same as marketing? And if not, what's the difference?
So social media is a form of marketing. So there's digital marketing and social media marketing. So social media marketing is focusing on using social media to promote your brand, to market. Digital marketing is focusing more on how to align yourself with online, Google, analytics, newsletters, anything in the digital realm, but it's focusing on it more in general. So social media is 100% a form of marketing. Definitely. It's one of the bigger forms of marketing now, social media and digital marketing. Digital marketing is a little bit more outside of social media, And then obviously social media is confined within social media. And sometimes we'll touch on Google and things like that, but it's definitely more that.
And when we look at social media, I mean, any marketing in general, still, it can be a bit confusing because, especially social media, I know I'm not sure if it's true or not, but there's always this talk about algorithms. What is the current algorithm? This is the current algorithm for 2023. This is the current algorithm for 2024. You have to use these hashtags. These are the popular hashtags. And if you don't use it, social media punishes you because you're not following the algorithm. How true is that?
There definitely is some truth in that. You have to know what the algorithm wants. The point of the algorithm is to push specific content to certain people. So it depends. They're going to look at how many engagements you've had. If you have more engagements on a post, you're more likely to be shown. They're going to be looking at how often you post, if people are reporting you as spam, what your hashtags are, what your tagging is. The algorithm is what decides what gets pushed to other people. So it's important, and it changes even more than once a year. I've had times where the algorithm one day Reels will be the thing, and then the next week, all of a sudden, Carousel posted the thing. And it's like, oh my goodness, I just got down mastering Reels, and now they're throwing Reels out the window for a couple weeks because the algorithm's testing things too. There are people behind the algorithm. I mean, there are people that tell the algorithm this is what you do. So it's not just a computer out there figuring it out. But the algorithm is definitely real. And that's why one of the things we teach is how to understand the algorithm in a way that isn't complicated. Because you could easily spend hours a day figuring out what the algorithm is doing this month and trying to figure it out. But there are tools and ways to do it where it's more surface level that's still going to get you what you need. Which is one of the things we teach and we work on is how can you understand where the social media is headed, what the trends are, what's being pushed right now in different platforms without spending all of your time focusing on that and with spending a very minimal amount of time doing that.
So I want to know the first step, right? So let's say a new business, they say, okay, I'm opening up doors. I want to get my social media ready. I want to, develop some type of mission, some type of purpose for the brand. What do they need to have prepared for the first meeting with you, Kaylee?
So before you have your first meeting with me, you need to know, I need to be able to know what platforms you're on for social media, because that's going to kind of tailor what kind of program you go into. So what kind of platforms you're on and what you're wanting to accomplish with your social media. Now, maybe you don't know this exactly because we do flesh that out, but maybe you're trying to say, oh, I just want to make my social media look better, or I'm trying to increase the amount of times I, post. Just a general idea of why do you want to take this social media course so that I can see, are you a good fit for it? Because again, like if a person comes to me, I'm not just wanting to take their money. I want to make sure that they fit in. It's a pretty exclusive group. So we go through an interviewing process for it to make sure you're right. But just coming in and saying like, this is what I want to fix, and coming in with the attitude of being willing to learn. That's one thing. It's because a lot of people can come in with the preconceived notion of, I know this is right with social media. And we get in there and I'm like, actually, that's something that was taught 3 years ago and was right then, but now it's not. So coming in with that willingness of, okay, I'm willing to learn, I'm willing to ask questions, and I'm willing to be present are the main things, is that attitude of coming in, being willing to learn, and then having a general idea of maybe it's just, I need to work on my social media because I want my time back and I need help trying to speed this up. That's what we hear a lot of times. I want help with my social media because I don't want to keep paying $1,000 a month to have someone else write content. So just coming in with, why do you want help with it? And then we sit down and we flesh it out together. And we're like, all right, let's see what we need to do. Let's see what steps we're going to need to take. So there's not a whole lot you need to come prepared with. Just know, I want to hear what you need. If I can fix that. If not, I want to be able to refer you to someone that I know can.
Yeah, the idea of knowing what they need, knowing their why, like why are they doing this is important. But yet these important and maybe even obvious questions are something that people often overlook. It's more of, okay, I want to do this, I want this result, but they don't ask themselves that question of why or the purpose. And those are going to be powerful questions that they can ask themselves. And it can be a bit daunting because you might want to do so many different things. And I mean, even early on when I started the business, I had this mission statement, I had this idea, this was the brand. but the overall aspect to the brand never changed, right?
Right.
The education aspect of educating people. That is what I wanted to do. And the podcast, the same thing, right? I don't change the podcast. And I have different brands for different things because the different brands have different tones. So a show that I have here on Coaching in Session is very different than if you go to X and you go to a Mindset OD. Yes, I'm the same person, but the brand is different because it targets a different audience. And when I did the whole rebranding process, everything started to change and become more cohesive for me and the audience because now they're like, wait, what? What? Like, which way should I go? And it just helps your audience say, this is the show that I'm going to be listening to. This is the social media that I go to. And it just makes everything a better user experience. And that is the last question I want to leave you with. What is the user experience we should be creating for the people who are our audience?
There are two things I say is make the person feel like a person. Don't make them feel like a number or like their money. Make them see I'm a person that someone cares about. And then two, make sure your mission is clear. Don't try to fit in with the algorithms and the trends so much that you lose who your business is and what your business's purpose is. Make sure that you're focusing on your customer and make sure that you're valuing them for like as a person and for who they are.
It's like the idea of if you try to be everywhere at once, you're nowhere at all.
Exactly.
And we do have to figure out where we want to be, and we have to put in that work, and we have to gain the knowledge and the wisdom. And having a coach like Kaylee is going to be that eye-opening experience for you to realize like what is your social media lacking? What direction do you truly want to go? Because we all have ideas, but they can be tainted, especially when we're looking on Google and we're trying to find latest trends. We see our friend, they do this, but they have a clothing brand and you have a soda brand that's different.
Yes.
And even though the marketing aspect might have similarities, you do need to know the reasons why you're doing things. And the conversation that we had today, Kaylee, is just the beginning. And I encourage people, if you have a business, if you're a coach, if you are trying to grow your social media just for followers or to make something artistic that you can be truly inspired by and you want to inspire the world with, this is what social media can bring. Yes, there is an aspect of social media that can be a bit distracting. We can always go into that TikTok brain and just go down shorts all day. But we're talking about creating something meaningful that's going to impact so many lives for a better and a more positive and uplifting social media experience. So as we begin to wrap up, Kaylee, I would love to get some final words from you and then for you to tell the audience where they can find you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would just encourage you as you're working on your social media, don't stress out about it too much. It's overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. It seems time consuming, but it doesn't have to be. And I want you to realize that if you're wanting to get into social media, just breathe. It's okay. And you can do it. We have the tools to help you do it. You can find me on LinkedIn as Kaylee Johnson, or you can also find me at my website, digital-journey.net/home. And I would love to talk with you, love to hear what your goals are and thoughts are on social media. And yes, I'm so thankful to be on this show. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Of course. And I loved speaking with you, talking about social media. I know it can be a tricky aspect for many individuals because social media is everything. And then it can be confusing because it is everything. So it can be good. It can be bad. It can be uplifting. It can be disempowering. And we do have to find the right fit for ourselves. And it's not so much of finding a like-minded group, but more so of a group that's going to empower you, help you toward growth, and to make your life more vivid. So I do
Yeah.
want to thank you so much, Kaylee, for coming on, talking about your work and helping coaches and businesses and individuals grow their social media platforms to be more positive and uplifting and authentic. All right, everyone, I'd like to thank you so much for watching that interview of my guest, Kaylee Johnson. What went on in that episode is we talked about her business and we learned about what she does in her program. This right here, even though it might not seem like a big deal, right? Social media, it is a big deal because there are so many brands, there are so many coaches, there are so many people who have something to offer to the world. Maybe they just don't know how to do it yet. Maybe that person is you. I love to speak with clients. I love to speak with individuals and for them to tell me their dream. Some are inventors. Some are artists. Some, just want to be a regular 9 to 5 worker and be the best family person they can be. Though you might say that if you want to be an inventor and you create something like the automobile or the airplane, you're going to have a better, worth. And that's not true. Whether you create an airplane or you decide to be a family man, you are going to be creating a ripple regardless of what goes on. And that ripple is going to have effect in the whole entire world. Yes, we might see planes going all around, but being a family person and making sure your family is the best possible family they can be, that's going to be generation after generation. It doesn't matter the impact. The impact is going to be, what are you looking to create? Because some people, they want the fame, they want the glory, they want the numbers, they want this. But yet, it is okay to tear things down. Maybe you have a following of 100 people, and maybe you become more clear on what you do and you lose 20 people. Don't run away from being your true authentic self because you want the numbers. Learn who you want to be. The people who are supposed to be there will be there. It is easy to get caught up into the numbers. It's easy to get caught up into the distractions that might be taking you away from what you're truly trying to seek with social media. Maybe brand awareness, maybe you're trying to sell things, or maybe you're trying to make a difference in the world. And we do have to be clear on what that is for yourself. Because I can speak with many people about what is their social media and what does it represent. They might be able to give me a blanket statement of, well, this is what I want my brand to do or what my social media to do, but yet they're not necessarily going deep enough. They stay surface level. And it was something that I had to really work on. Even throughout the years, your mindset starts to change a little bit. Your mission becomes more purposeful. You become more refined. And also should your message. You begin to be authentic, of course, but then you start to change in the areas where you say, I think I want to go down this path, or I think I want the message to be this versus this, because again, it could be a little bit of trial and error when you're trying to figure out what you want to do in the world. Think of it as a career. For example, when I was 18, I thought I wanted to be an accountant. I'm not an accountant. I was a teacher because I left accounting, and then after being a teacher for so many years, I became a coach. I have to ask myself, what would have happened if I didn't do accounting and I didn't do teaching and I just did coaching? Would I have said, well, I started coaching, let me do teaching, and then let me do accounting? It's very possible that could happen. Some experiences lead us to new experiences, or the experiences that we truly desire. We have to be able to understand that there's going to be good, there's going to be bad. We have to use those moments, whether they be good or bad, and learn from them. So if you are making social media mistakes, if you are maybe not the most savvy in social media, why not get a coach? Why not get someone to help you understand what social media is doing, what the algorithms are doing, and then pinpoint what you truly want from your social media websites? Because it is easy to put in an email address, put your name, maybe a phone number, and then start a social media. But what do you do next? And this is where Kaylee comes in. She's going to be that guide. She's going to be that mentor. She's going to be that coach helping you along the way, making sure the social media website that you build is going to be true to what you want to create. And then it's going to be something that is going to resonate with so many people in the specific audience that you're trying to reach. Social media can be confusing, but you don't have to do that work alone. So this is why I always say having a coach, having a mentor, having someone there to guide you, it is so powerful because we are taking a lot of the trial and error out of this. And now we're going into knowledge and wisdom. And this right here is going to set you so far ahead, maybe even years, because you decided to take this step. So if you are struggling with social media, if you're struggling with your brand or your identity, and you're trying to pinpoint exactly what you want your social medias to be, reach out to Kaylee. Learn more about what she does and how she helps individuals grow their social media to be a true, authentic version of what they want to bring to the world. My name is Michael Rearden. I'm a mindset coach. If you have any questions, email me coachinginsession@gmail.com. And I'll see everyone on the next episode of Coaching in Session. Until then, everyone take care.